1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're going to rock around the clock tonight. Put your glass right.
I'm Dave Halliday. My wife Joanne and I are up here from Sarasota, Florida, enjoying our 45th class reunion. I'm sorry you folks couldn't be here to enjoy it with us, and hope maybe we'll see you the next time. Nice talking to you.
I guess about 40 of us went to the Marshall High football game. We went to see Jackson Western High School from Jackson, Michigan. And when we left at the end of the third quarter, Jackson Western had 0, and Michigan at Marshall, I don't even know where I am. And Marshall had, I think, about 35 points. So we decided that we would come down to Schuler's, and the place is really, really packed. We wish those of you who aren't here could be here because it's really been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Lots of trying to remember who people are. You can see I got my class ring on and my key.
Lots of warm greetings.
Oh yes.
It's just wonderful.
So you're having a good time too?
Oh, I am. It's really great.
It's really fun with people seeing each other. Some haven't seen each other in 45 years, so it's really made a very special evening, and I'm really thrilled because I've had so much fun trying to contact people. So we'll try to get some more people to come and talk.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Daryl Smith. This is number 45. My God, that's a long time. Looking forward to 50. Wish you were all here. Sorry that you couldn't be. Gene Tenney made us all go hunt up our class rings for this. I got mine right here. That thing right there. That's the one. 45 years is a long time, but I still have some great memories of Marshall. I have great memories of all the classmates, and wish that all of you could be here. Hope to see you at the 50th. Bye-bye. You're being recorded, yes.
Oh, well, Marilyn Green, I wish you were here. There are so many people you haven't seen in so many years. Next time, or else make it up here to Michigan, and we'll have a get-together, have a lunch. Come on up, Marilyn. We missed you. We wish you were here.
Good evening. I'm Al Delaney, live here in Marshall. Class of 55, just like the rest of you. We're having a nice party here at Schuler's tonight. We've been to the football game. We're planning on going to the cheese factory tomorrow. Of course, then tomorrow night, a big outing at the country club, and then hopefully back to Schuler's for Sunday brunch, which if you've had Schuler's Sunday brunch is just outstanding. And but we're having a great time. We've seen some people we haven't seen in maybe 40 years or more, 45 maybe. So we're having some great fun. Sorry if you couldn't be here. We wish you could be here. Hopefully, we're already started planning for a 50 year. We may have that right at Schuler's here, maybe at 50. So if you can't, just think about that. And hopefully, 5 more years, we'll do it again for 50. Have a nice time. Thanks.
Myself on here yet, and I don't know how to put it in words, but it's just so much fun seeing people I haven't seen for so long, a few people I've seen more recently, and it's really nice to get together and share some recollections of what it was like here 45 years ago, things we've done in the meantime. A lot of people have retired and are having a good time swapping stories about retirement and swapping stories about grandchildren. It'd be fun to get some of those stories on tape. I'm not sure we will have a chance, but I'll try to keep getting people to come over and say hello. And tomorrow we may be in a setting where I can go around with a camera and get some people responding. So we're sharing this with the people who couldn't make it, and it'll be fun to have it on a record to look at maybe 5 years from now when we get together again.
Dave, you should be here.
Right.
You missed out on free cheese. And where? At the Cheese Palace. Now here's a brochure. Photocopy this for permanent record.
Yeah, great.
And I expect an order in the mail. Here's the prices for the delivery. And I want a lot of orders. So we expect you to come here. Bob Lewis told me to say all this too, incidentally. And Sid Webb wants to play golf with you and take some of your easy money.
Wrote a note back and set it back up, and I said, thank you very much, but I prefer fresh ones.
That's good.
There were some kind of interesting things happened. I was going to write you and apologize for not coming, but I never got it written.
Well, we'll accept this one.
I got my old typewriter out and I tried to type, and I struck over and I couldn't make it print, and of course it's a real old one. My dad had it, and it was all dried out, the ribbon, and I couldn't hit hard enough to make it print, and oh, I had an awful time. And finally Stan says, why do you try?
You're right.
Well, good enough. I'll know where to write then when I need it. If you can decipher my hen scratches.
There was this one teacher that always used to say, heads will roll, so I took an orange to school one day. And she made the remark, heads will roll, so I rolled the orange up towards her. Ended up down to the principal's office.
Would you have sent him to the principal's office for rolling an orange down the aisle?
It wasn't a stale orange either.
I don't remember that incident. Are you sure you got the right teacher?
You might not have the right teacher.
Yeah, it'd be a different one.
It would be.
You probably wouldn't have sent him to the office. You would have grabbed the orange and said something clever and written a note on it and rolled it back to him.
Yeah, probably. I was noted for doing things like that.
These people doing the organizing of our reunion did just such a fantastic job to track people down and look up
Did you find everybody,
obituaries.
Kay?
No, I think there's about 10 or 12. And then there's about 10 or 12 dodos who would not respond.
We know who they are and where they are.
Because they're in there.
But they aren't responding to the questionnaire. But it's just amazing to have so many people identified and so many respond and have such a nice written book.
It's a good big book.
And you know,
Can't get over it.
Well, see, after the 25th,
Really nice.
when I
Well, this is going to be interesting to go through.
well, while we're having fun tonight, you can have fun here.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you came up. All of you.
Did you see that issue of The Dial that's on your lap also?
This?
Yeah.
Yes,
There's
I
a-
saw it.
There's a snapshot of what was going on when we graduated. Because that's the last issue of the year when we graduated.
Marshall High
So all the
School
summary
Dial.
information in there.
1955.
Golly.
I had that copy when Jean Tenney was down at my house one day. She says, "Oh, I gotta have a copy of this." So then she made a copy for everybody.
That was
was
great.
nice of
That
her.
was real nice.
I've had a
I
good
did
time
read
reading
too,
that.
Have you?
It's kind of fun to review,
Oh.
isn't it? What went on in your past, and some of the things I bet you've forgotten too.
Oh yes.
Well, once you, a few people for their questionnaires wrote back too long ago. I can't remember that far back, and I thought, boy, if you were coming up to our meetings that we've been having, you would start remembering. But it's interesting because these people that have come, most of us did not know each other. We did not run around together in high school.
No.
And so now, 45 years later, you realize that you knew their name, but you really didn't know them.
Yes.
So
No, even if you're classmates in the same class, sometimes you end up not knowing everybody in your class. I found that out too. Teachers have the same problem. I think I must have had something like 4,000 kids in Marshall in my classes, and I don't remember all 4,000
I would think
Probably
not.
3,000.
That person was like
because
as a
I had
student.
the Usher Club and I had the Honor Society and a few organizations like that, and I was sponsor of a couple classes.
Oh yes.
And
Then you get to know
you
them
get
better.
to know the people on an informal basis, and that's the best way to know them.
that's right.
Really.
Those are my best memories of high school. is that extra outside of class, informal.
Those things that happen.
Yeah, that
are
friendship
funny.
with teacher.
I'll never forget one Christmas. I don't know who it was. I can't say her name. But she made footprints and she put them up on the wall and on the floor and led them down to my room. And where she ever got that idea, I don't know. But it was, I was going to always remember her name, but I confess I don't.
Oh, is that neat?
It was kind of different.
Sure. Well, that's.
And
But
I
teachers
was-
also have to have a little give and take among themselves too, because that's what makes your work interesting.
Louise Deal was next door to me. And of course she was the old school. And I forget, she said that she got all flustered when she tried to administer one of those standardized tests.
Oh.
And would I come into her room and administer the test while she sat with my class? So I did. And she thought I was pretty special because I would do that. Isn't that something?
Sure, yes.
And I always heard the story about her that she threw a kid out the window once. And I don't think she did.
Thank
I
you.
think that
You
was
reminded me of
exaggerated.
something. Here, I brought.
Carmen, say hi. They were asking.
Going to
It says
another
REC.
location, huh? Have them all turn. Get up. Have them all turn right. Raise them all
Let me help you.
At this time, we'd like to recognize a moment of silence for our past departed classmates. And as you can see, our committee has provided a beautiful bouquet here in the pictures of our classmates from the past. At this time, if you'd bow your heads in a moment of silence.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for these moments together right now. In the words of songwriter Bill Gaither, we would say we also have these moments to hold in our hand and to touch.
I call my Mexican buddy down in Corpus Christi and tell him the story, and he goes, "Oh," he says, "you gringos, I'll tell you, you just don't know what jalapeno peppers can do." So we've had a good time, but we do have some jalapeno. If someone likes something hot, we do have the habanero. Blaine and Patty Cornwell at Cornwell Turkey Farm turned us on to a hot sauce of habanero. We use this right now.
You can dance, every dance with a guy who gives you the eye. Let him hold you tight. You can smile, every smile from the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home, and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, say the last dance for me. Oh, I know that the music's fine. insane. But while we're apart, don't give your heart to anyone. But don't forget who's taking you home. The needles out you're gonna be. So darling, say the last fast for me. Baby, don't you know I love you so? Can't you feel it when we touch? I would never, never let you go. I love you oh so much. You can dance, go and carry on till the night is gone and it's time to go. Whoa, if he asks, if you all alone, can he take you home?
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
We'll go over there. No, I never see
When the chimes ring 5, 6, and 7, we'll be right at
7. The kids are, you know, we're really a tight school.
Yeah, eventually we'll get everybody on tape.
Oh, this is going to be nice.
This is a wonderful book. It even tells a story about when we were seniors. Some of us let ourselves into the school at night when no one else was there and climbed up on the roof and attached a rope to the bell that was never rung.
You the man?
I was involved a little bit.
And wasn't John Belair's part of it too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I remember that incident.
No kidding. Oh.
Were you involved too?
No, I wasn't. I didn't know about it till the next day. And you went through Henry Cunningham's room, didn't you, to get up to the roof?
See? Oh, what a wonderful memory. You remember. Yes.
Yes.
We went through the Voag room to get up there, but the rope came down into Henry Cunningham's room in
Yeah.
his closet. In fact,
Oh,
we
that's
found
how
the
you
hole
did
where
it.
it came through.
Yes.
So how did you know all this? See, teachers knew everything.
But,
Yeah.
but you didn't know who did it.
No, I didn't know who did it. I don't think that ever came out, did it?
I hope not.
Well, it's in there now.
Well, it's behind the fact, after the fact.
Yeah.
So you don't need to worry.
And Dick wrote that, but he knew you wouldn't be critiquing it and putting a grade on it.
Well, I'm so glad that you wanted to come out and see me before you left.
Well, tonight's our big night. We just went at the high school. We're at the high school. Had a tour there. Candy Putnam led us through. Where was your room?
It was 305 up on the second floor.
Was it a corner room?
It was next to that corner room.
That's what
and
I
that
thought.
was what was the principal office then, at the very end of the hall. Remember?
Yes, I remember.
That was Mr. Gray's office there?
No,
the
was
assistant
Mr.
principal.
Assistant principal.
Assistant principal.
Yeah. So initially, Rose would have
had
been
it,
there when we were there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I do remember when some of you fellas that were in the chemistry lab right above me let us a thing down outside my window, and it was an old stale sandwich. And I wrote a note back and set it back up, and I said, "Thank you very much, but I prefer fresh ones."
Hey, that's good.
There were some kind of interesting things happened. I was going to write you and apologize for not coming, but I never got it written.
Well, we'll accept this one.
I got my old typewriter out and I tried to type, and I struck over and I couldn't make it print, and of course it's a real old one. My dad had it, and it was all dried out, the ribbon, and I couldn't hit hard enough to make it print, and I had an awful time. And finally Stan says, "Why do you try?"
Right.
Well, good enough. I'll know where to write then when I need it. If you can decipher my head scratches.
There was this one teacher that always used to say heads will roll, so I took an orange to school one day. And she made the remark, heads will roll, so I rolled the orange up towards her. Ended up down in the principal's office, but that's all right.
Would you have sent him to the principal's office for rolling an orange down the aisle?
It wasn't stale orange either.
I don't remember that incident. Are you sure you got the right teacher?
You might not have the right teacher.
Yeah, it'd be a different one.
It would be.
You probably wouldn't have sent him to the office. You would have grabbed the orange and said something clever and written a note on it and rolled it back to him.
Yeah, probably. I was noted for doing things like that.
These people doing the organizing of our reunion did just such a fantastic job to track people down and look up
obituaries. Did you find everybody,
obituaries.
Kay?
No, I think there's about 10 or 12. And then there's about 10 or 12 dodos who would not respond.
We know who they are and where they are.
Because they're in there.
But they aren't responding to the questionnaire. But it's just amazing to have so many people identified and so many respond and have such a nice written book.
It's a good big book.
And you know,
can't get over it.
Well, see, after the 25th.
Really nice. Well, this is going to be interesting to go through.
Well, while we're having fun tonight, you can have fun here.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you came up, all of you.
Did you see that issue of The Dial that's on your lap also?
This?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw it.
There's a snapshot of what was going on when we graduated. Because that's the last issue of the year when we graduated.
Marshall
So all the summary information
1955.
Golly.
I had that copy when Jean Tenney was down at my house one day. She says, "Oh, I gotta have a copy of this." So then she made a copy for everybody.
That was great.
Nice of her.
That was real nice.
I've had a good time reading that.
Have you?
It's kind of fun to review, isn't it? What on in your past, and some of the things I bet you've forgotten too.
Oh yes.
Well, once you, a few people for their questionnaires wrote back too long ago. I can't remember that far back, and I thought, boy, if you were coming up to our meetings that we've been having, you would start remembering. But it's interesting because these people that have come, most of us did not know each other. We did not run around together in high school.
No.
And so now, 45 years later, you realize that you knew their name, but you really didn't know them.
Yes.
So
no, even if you're classmates in the same class, sometimes you end up not knowing everybody in your class. I found that out too. Teachers have the same problem. I think I must have had something like 4,000 kids in Marshall in my classes.
Wow.
And I don't remember all 4,000.
I would think
Probably
not.
3,900.
That person was like
Because
as a
I had
student.
the Usher Club and I had the Honor Society and a few organizations like that. And I was sponsor of a couple classes.
Oh yes.
And
Then you get to know
you
them
get
better.
to know the people on an informal basis. And that's the best way to know them.
That's right.
Really.
Those are my best memories of high school.
Uh-huh.
Is that extra outside of class, informal.
Those things that happen.
Yeah, that
are
friendship
funny.
with teacher.
I'll
Yeah.
never forget one Christmas. I don't know who it was. I can't say her name. But she made footprints and she put them up on the wall and on the floor and led them down to my room. And where she ever got that idea, I don't know. But it was, I was going to always remember her name, but I confess I don't.
Oh, is that neat?
It was kind of different.
Sure. Well, that's.
And
But
I
teachers
was-
also have to have a little give and take among themselves too, because that's what makes your work interesting.
Louise Deal was next door to me. And of course, she was the old school. And I forget, she said that she got all flustered when she tried to administer one of those standardized tests.
Oh.
And would I come into her room and administer the test while she sat with my class? So I did. And she thought I was pretty special because I would do that. Isn't that something?
Sure. Yes.
And I always heard the story about her that she threw a kid out of a window once. And I don't think she did.
Thank
I
you.
think that
You
was
reminded me of
exaggerated.
something. Here, I brought.
Carmen, say hi. Yeah. They were asking.
Going to
It says
another
REC.
location, huh?
Yeah,
Have them all turn. Get up. Have them all turn 90 degrees and go
At this time, we'd like to recognize a moment of silence for our past departed classmates. And as you can see, our committee has provided a beautiful bouquet here in the pictures of our classmates from the past. At this time, if you bow your heads in a moment of silence.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for these moments together right now. In the words of songwriter Bill Gaither, we would say we also have these moments to hold in our hand and to touch as they slip through our fingers like sand. Yesterday's gone and tomorrow may never come. But we have these moments today. Father, our minds and thoughts go back to so many things. We think about our 26 classmates who are not with us tonight. We think particularly about their families. We think about our time together, yesterday and today, and for all of the memories that these times together have rekindled for us. We thank you for the joys and the trials over the years. Sometimes we have laughed, sometimes we have cried, sometimes we have even questioned whether you exist and whether or not you really do love us as individuals. But you are God. We thank you for the example of your Son, Jesus Christ, and that he modeled perfectly the life you have called us to live. We thank you that in every trial that we have faced, he faced it successfully and victoriously, and because of that, our faith is in him. Thank you for Kay and all of the others who have worked so hard to put this great time together. We thank you now for the good food, and we thank you for the presence of your Spirit and your smiling upon us tonight. All of this we do pray in the strong name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Welcome to the class reunion of the class of 55, and thank you for coming. In the past, Martha Travis and Joyce Deshawn have done our last 3 class reunions, but this year they had a little, Joyce got tripped up and had a little accident, and Martha's been busy at her new home, so this year we had a committee that decided to give them a little relief, so we put them on a sabbatical, so to speak. But anyway, for the past class reunions, we really appreciate the work they've done on that. So. And also this afternoon, we had a visit to the cheese factory, and I'd like to thank Woody Dunham for that tour. And also, we had a great time last night for Hans Schuler, so we'd like to thank him for that, and we really appreciate that. That was very nice. Thanks very much. We did have some major contributors to finance this project of ours. So at that time, this time, I'd just like to read off some of the names, not some of the names, but the names of the people that done a lot of contributing for this effort. Bob Mays, Paul Humiston, Jerry Kimmel, Dave Holliday, Hans Schuler, Donna Harris, Pat Wickert, Rich Duckham, who's not here, David Delano, Delmer Matthews, Kay Hobb, Carolyn Heath, and Bob Guyman. So we really appreciate your donation for it. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I'm sorry. But also at this time, I'd like to recognize the committee that we had to put this project on. It took a lot of effort from a lot of people. And at this time, I'd like to have the committee stand up, if you would. Everybody that went to our committee meetings, please stand up this time. Okay, stay standing for just a minute. I'd like to say,
They missed a lot of fun.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I tell you, some of these gals on our committee are not ladies with a few words, but they're that. But anyway, some of the things that we did, Donna Harris contributed the cups you see on the table, so that was really nice to hear. And several other people contributed a lot of input, but nothing more. And they have the books that you see on the table, done a great job on them. And Dean, sent me the pictures up here on the table. And Bob Lewis and Moose Delaney took care of the sports part of it, with the football game and things like that. But the committee was really great to work with. Just so much effort exerted it, and we had a good time doing it. So we really appreciate it. I'd like to turn the mic over to Jerry Kimmel, and he's got some things to say about our class and the school teachers.
I'd like to introduce the teachers that are here tonight, and
I'm going to ask them to come up after I introduce them, and maybe they have a story to tell about some people here, and either here or not here. And if you don't have a story, I might have some for you. I'd like to start out with Donald Chatterton and his wife Ruth are here from Sun City, Arizona. If you could, Mr. Chatterton, come up.
What do you want me to say? Well, I'm seldom at a loss for words, but I am right now. Harley Holmes, superintendent of schools, when Ruth and I got back from World War II and got our master's degree on the GI Bill of Rights, and I heard that the job was open at Marshall. And after an interview with Mr. Holmes, he went down and took me to the president of the Board of Education, who happened to be a furniture dealer, E.B. Moore at the time, and came back and said they decided that you could have the job. And he said, I'll just tell you two things. You take care of the music, I'll take care of the politics. And he remained true to his word. He left me alone with a person who had not started teaching anywhere except at a little Catholic high school up in the Michigan State area. But I had so much help from such a wonderful bunch of kids. I've never forgotten it. I always enjoyed coming back here. Char married George Sherman. Barbara married Jack Sherman. And May Sherman was one of the finest ladies I ever known in my life. One of the first things that Harley did before taking me up to the band room and showing me where everything was, he took me out to the cemetery. Cemetery? What's the heck is going on here? Was he hinting at anything? I couldn't take it that I did. You know, that's where I'd be buried, or... But through the years, class after class, we worked hard. When you realize if you start a band student or an orchestra student in the 5th or 4th grade, and they stick with you through the 6th grade, and then you get a chance to keep them through the 7th and 8th grade, then they stay for 4 more years. Add them up. That's a lot of years with one teacher. And then when you correspond with them over the years, it's getting up there around 54, 55 years for us. And it's, they gave me a chance, and we grabbed it, and we've had a lot of success by a lot of good, hard-working people. And I'm forever grateful for knowing the people in Marshall. There's none better. They're not better than New York. They just have a little bit more money in New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterton, and I think a little success here is an understatement. We appreciate you coming. We love to have our favorite teachers come. Our teachers have been more than just teachers; they've become friends, and we enjoy seeing you as much as we can. Next, I'd like to ask
Joe and Willow Cooper to stand. Where are these? Joe? This is, come on. This is Joe, make it be in there, Cooper. And you baseball players know what I mean by that.
Usually people that had me in coaching and probably also in the classroom never had any doubt that low volume was a characteristic of your teacher or your coach. Marshall, Michigan and Marshall Public Schools have been real great people to both Willow, myself, and our entire family. And I think this class, rather than talk too much about how Harley hired me, some of the same techniques he was still using with me and used with Don. And I don't think he had to when Ed May Schaefer was interviewed, because Ed May Schaefer had a charm that Harley and Bruce always liked, and they always had a big advantage over the rest of us. But I've been out of the school business since 1983. Now with the American Amateur Baseball Congress. Travel quite a bit around the country, promoting the sport of baseball, which is not a difficult thing for me to do. This class has a lot of great memories for me, not only in the past, but in the present. When you get down and out, as all of us have probably experienced once in a while, good friends step forward. A lot of good friends in this group did that for me, and I sincerely appreciate that. Another nice thing about still living in Marshall is you see people that maybe you don't remember their names, they still remember you. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Cooper? Fine. And you're buying the groceries? No, I'm just in here to go for a walk or something along that line. But it's nice to go down the street and see somebody like this, Mr. Hindenall, who's always got some wise remark to give you and degrade your personal ability to drive. Tell you stories that one time I dumped a 5-gallon pail of water on Moose Delaney's head, which I don't remember. I remember breaking up some of the couples in the halls that are real couples yet. And I remember a lot of good things. And all we basically can say to you, the Cooper family, is thank you very much.
You come up, please. I'd like to also introduce your husband, Mr. Bill Rigger.
Oh, okay. I have taught quite a few places since I left Marshall, but I've never had such delightful kids. Yesterday I got the yearbook out for this class, and I couldn't believe how many kids I remembered just like they were my own. And they made life wonderful. I remember Carl's dad. We were going to have a Latin Cup picnic, and we wanted to have it outside of town. And I said, oh no, we can't do that. They won't allow that. Their homes wouldn't let us do that. And so the next day, I was a young teacher then, I saw this handsome, tall man in my door during class. And he knocked and I went out and I became acquainted with Mr. Zinn. And he said, you really want the picnic? And I said, oh yes. He said, well, if you do, I'll go to bat for you. And so after that, the next year, the kids said, do we have to ask? I said, no, we'll just go ahead and have it. I also remember Carol Bucher and Nancy Campbell. They were out at a Latin picnic, and all of a sudden they disappeared, and I was kind of worried. And then all of a sudden they came back, and they wanted to know if I would go up north with them. Their mother said that if I would go with them, they could go up a week ahead of time and clean. Well, we played for 6 days. The 7th day we all cleaned. So I could mention all. It's so delightful to see all of you, and you mean a lot to me.
Thanks to all three of you for being here. We know it takes an evening out of your routine, but it's nice to have the teachers here that we love so much. And George, I'm sorry. George, come here. George and Charlotte. I'm sorry.
You're a good man.
I'd best say the best for last.
Oh, no. Do you know I never had any of your class in a class because the year you people graduated, your senior year, was my first year here. And kind of like Don there, I was met on the street by Harley Holmes. I had just been discharged, come back from Korea. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And up comes Harley Holmes and he said, you want to teach school? And I said, I don't even want to teach in school. I haven't taken any classes. I can't get certified. Oh, I can get you certified. You can live on temporary certification. And I taught school for the next 8 years, and I've never been certified legally. And that was the start of your class. I know, I can remember how impressed I was. I mean, you all look so darn smart, and you look like you knew so much about what was going on. And I had nothing but a bunch of snot-nosed little 9th graders. In fact, I married one 10 years later. The thing that you might have some good feelings about in regards to me is that I think it was you and I were the chosen as the junior class sponsors that first year. Were we, Edna Mae? Yeah. And we had to put the doggone junior prom on. That's hard work, people. And I was involved in trying to get your prom ready. So with that, you've now paid me back by giving me a meal. And I thank you all very much. My wife is saying quit right now. So I'm gonna quit right now. I did, you know, the 3 years I spent at Marshall, though, I'll say this. By gosh, I got so interested in teaching school, even though I never got certified. I went ahead and stayed at it till 1992, and I quit in 92. I didn't stay in the high school, but I did stay in education. And it's, you know, it's just being around, even though you're just seniors in the hall. I'll tell you one story about seniors in the hall. I don't know which one, somebody's sitting in this room right now. You used to get stuck taking the study halls upstairs in the library. Some of you people go in there, and I'd get stuck doing a study hall. And yeah, I had no control over you. I was teaching 9th graders. I was less than dirt. And I can remember making marks on the wall, on the blackboard up there, and saying the next person that does something that makes this line go over that mark, you're down to the Ed Rose's office. How many of you did I kick out of the study hall? Will any of you remember it? Because I kick people out of study hall. That's terrible. Here you go, Jerry.
Just one last thing before I turn this back to Rich Logan. In conversations with all of you last night and this morning, I spent a lot of time reading the book that some of you have spent so much time preparing. And I think that all of you should be proud of the accomplishments that you've made in the last 45 years, boys and girls. It's very impressive to see what some of you have done, and all of these families, wonderful families that you have raised. And to be able to get together like this, like we're all friends again, like we were 45 years ago, is a very nice feeling for me, and I know it is for you too. So I think you should pat yourselves on the back. This is probably the best class in the 20th century, and it's going to be hard to beat in the 21st century.
At this time, Kay Hobb has a performance little thing here to do with the discs he's got to play. A little surprise.
As I was walking out of my house yesterday, as if I didn't have anything else to do, I thought, grab your flute. because maybe Mr. Chatterton might like to know that some of us still tool a flute or something. Well, those of you who played in the band or orchestra that are here, why don't you just stand up? Stand up and so we can see. Whether any time in your, whether it was just junior high, any of you who ever played under Mr. Chatterton, stand up. Because a lot of us were touched by what he did. So now, see, now some are trying to remember, didn't they? Anyway, yeah, good senior moment. Well, anyway, I brought my flute along, and I hardly ever play it.
And he has the baton now.
I can't see you that way. Anyway, I'm going to play one verse, and then I'll play it again, and I think you'll all recognize the melody, so if you will all join in and sing. I'll see if I can find my music here. That's if I can still sing.
And if you don't know the words, just hum along.
Some of you were singing, and let's really belt it out, everyone. Okay. Some of you may not realize, but our senior year, the band went to play at the state festival, and we played at Hill Auditorium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And those of us from Marshall who had this little, when we were on the stage today, we don't know how the band ever fit on there because it seemed so small. And that's at the old high school. But when we sat at the stage at Hill Auditorium at the University of Michigan, we were just in awe. And we played that day, and the orchestra, I think, also played. And those of you who were in the band, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember what happened when you got up there on the stage? He turned around, all of us who were seated there, and we were in such, sort of exciting and terrifying at the same time. And he stood up there, and we didn't hear what he said. And all of a sudden, he's got his hands up in the air, and then he comes down, and then his hand keeps going up, 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 and his hand gets way over his head. And then finally, somebody played the tuning note. Nobody heard what he said. And we laughed and laughed and laughed. And this is a recording that I finally was able to, a 45-year-old record, and unfortunately there's a couple little skips in there. But I had this made, And I want to present you with a CD of that record. So now you can still remember us.
Thank you very much, Dave. At this time, a couple of announcements, and then we got some more to talk about. But regarding the picture, it'll take us about a month to get that processed and enlarged, and you'll be getting those in the mail. So that's where we stand on that. And also, I didn't forget Carl's injury, but I wanted him to come up and tell about the tape and how he's going to handle that. So
after months of looking forward to having Don Chatterton come, I heard he might not be able to make it. So at this planning meeting I said, why don't we put up a video camera somewhere with a sign and ask people who wanted to say hello to Mr. Chatterton or any of the other teachers who might have wished to be here but couldn't make it, like Miss Merritt, or any of our classmates who weren't able to come. And you can just walk up to the video camera and say, hi, I'm Carl Zinn. I'm having a great time at this reunion. I wish you were here, and I want to tell you a story about the football game last night or the conversation I had this afternoon or whatever.
a lot of the school teachers are in this group, and our parents are in that group. But some of the things that they went through during the Depression and the Second World War prepared a good time for us to go through life, and it has really been a benefit to us. So we really appreciate that. And one of the other things was our class, Marshall class, from 52 to about 58 was when all the rural schools were being eliminated, and all the rural students were coming into the high schools, and we merged together, and we were accepted. Our rural students were accepted by the people in the cities to a great degree, the people here in this room. So that was a great time, a good feeling for me. Later on, we're going to go through and we're going to have people, anyone that wants to come up with some remember wins, and I'm sure everybody's got a few of them. But for right now, we're going to have to clear the floor here, and Dwayne Trimp's going to give us a little professional ballroom dance exhibition.
About 5 years ago, Joyce and I got interested in some swing dancing, and we started taking some lessons and doing a little dancing, and from there we got into ballroom, and from there into some Latin. So now we're out about 5 to 6 nights a week. We're either taking lessons or we're out social dancing. We're into competition. We do a lot of showcase. Last Saturday night we did a showcase for USABDA, which is the United States Amateur Ballroom Dance Association. In 2 weeks we're doing one for Stepping Out Ballroom Dance Club in Lansing. Michigan State University Dance Club has invited us to do a showcase for them. And in November we'll be at the Radisson Hotel in Lansing doing a showcase for Dance World. Tonight we'd like to show you a little bit of our West Coast swing. It's a routine we put together for a competition that we did last spring. Hope you enjoy it.
Hey, what you
talk about the creamery and getting caught in the hallway with a mall. One of the teachers caught him. He goes, the hands was on him.
Yeah, the old creamery. Everybody remembers them 5-cent frozen cones at the creamery. You're supposed to give you lunch money to go to the cafeteria and get a good meal, and instead of doing that, you go to the creamery and buy a bunch of 5-cent cones. Yeah, that's a good remember when. I remember when one day I went up to H.H. Harrison in the shop when I was a 9th grader and told him I needed some nails. Where's Daryl Smith? Yeah, you get a kick out of this one. Probably, I don't know if it happened to you or not. Told him I needed some nails, so he reached down to his desk drawer and he pulled out a nail. About that long and as big as your finger. I said, well, I don't need that size. He said, know what you're talking about when you come up here and want a nail.
To have the dances on the tennis court. I like the light.
Okay, Nancy, keep honest now.
I couldn't remember whether Carl, were you in that group with Carl? I couldn't remember.
I didn't rig it, but I came to ring it.
Oh, it was John Blair's and myself and I'm trying to remember who. I think probably Dick Allen. I think Dick Allen was involved, and maybe Dick Lawrence. And that's all I can think of offhand. I didn't remember who else was involved. That's all I can remember.
How did you rig the rope?
We crawled up with the ceiling. Crawled up in the ceiling, and it got to there was a rope on the bell, but nobody ever knew that. So we pulled that rope and rang the bell for I don't know about 10 minutes, and then we got out of there as fast as we could. Nobody even noticed. You know, there was no trouble to get out because I was thinking nobody noticed. We did that.
I never knew there was a bell up there.
This is a real remember when. I was a farm boy, come to school. Out of the 8th grade, I went through K through 8 out in the country. Came as a 9th grader to school, about 3 foot tall, I'd say. Just a little bitty guy. Thought he knew all the answers, of course. And I was active in the FFA, same as a lot of the other farm boys, Bob Walker, Charles Fredericks here, Ron Coates, other people that were, Dalton Weaver, who's departed, and we had quite a group, Dick Herman, Jim Brubaker. Some of the big guys were my friends, Jim Brubaker and Dick Herman, and the guys were my friends, and I gotta understand, they were my good friends. We had L.G. Rothney as our ag teacher, who was kind of a new graduate from Michigan State. I've been in the agricultural department and really promoted the farm activity or the farm people. Harvey was with us also. Excuse me, Harry, if I missed you. But really promoted the farm folk, the importance of the farm family and the farm. But anyway, to tell the story, the big guys who were always picking on the little guys here a little bit, you understand. These guys are my friends. Well, I like to say that. But anyway, one time Mr. Rothney went out of the room, and today I visited his school and I looked for the dumbwaiter. There's a dumbwaiter that went from all the way to the basement, all the way up to the ag room, which used to be Baldy Wilcox's room at one time. But there's a dumbwaiter there. So, I don't know if they ever used it. But anyway, Mr. Rothney went out of the room. So those guys, they ascended upon me, tucked me into the dumbwaiter, which is about a 3 foot square, and then run it down about halfway down. And then they said, quiet, Mr. Rothney's coming. So here I am down there, and I never said a word. And because I knew eventually they'd get me out. But it was a long time. Before finally he left the room again and they wheeled me out. Well, that's my remember when.
This was not something that was occasional, but something that was fairly regularly in common with Mr. Chatterton. Of course, everybody remembers the strength of Michigan State in basketball. Well, he was one of the first examples of that, because he used to bet quarters with his music students shooting baskets in the girls' gym up there.
And this is something that went on fairly regularly and for quite a long time. I don't know how many quarters he ever accumulated, but he was pretty good, I can tell you. He was pretty good.
And it was a two-handed set shot.
Anybody else got some? Remember wins? Speaking of L.G. Rodney in the ag room, of course, you know, the city boys are always way ahead of us guys. When we come in from out of the country, we didn't know what was going on half the time in the city, but I remember one time we had one of the city boys in ag class. Why he took ag, I don't know, but I think it was Bob Walker and Jim Brubaker were talking in class one day to Mr. Rodney, and they asked, what was the best time of year to plant wild oats? And Mr. Rodney, you know how he'd put his glasses down, look over his glasses, and he'd say, there is no good time to plant wild oats. And then a couple days later, the guy in the class went to Jim and Bob Walker and asked him, what's wild oats?
Well, this is not a remember when, this is a remember what. And I can't remember how many of the ladies, girls, were involved in this, but I do remember we made up a song for the girls of Union. Would you like to hear it?
Sure. Yes.
We are the Marshall girls. We wear our hair in curls. We wear our dungarees rolled up above our knees. We are too old for toys. We are just right for boys. Ta-ra-ra boom-tie, ta-ra-ra boom-tie.
That's good. You guys all remember Henry Cunningham and all the little stories he used to add to the history books. I know one time he was in there and he was telling us about King Louis and Queen Genevieve. Used to meet in the blueberry patch every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. The next morning, they'd come into the castle, blueberry stains all over their hands, and the whole castle knew what was going on. And then he'd look over his glasses like L.G. Rodney would, and he'd say, and that wasn't the only stains they had on either.
You're driving there tonight? Oh, going to the
Been years and wonderful. Like feeling as though he's crying real hard. Last time I ever did
takes a minute to. Being part of your absence. And when I was that's true. First cousins for car dealers.
I mean, it might be a little longer than that.
I see you have
So we get to the reunion. Nobody looks like anybody.
Something written about a reunion that must have been taking place at see my brother.
I came downtown to deliver some things, and this man came out of the